Hey everyone, welcome back to yet another review. Sorry it's been a little while, we've been ill and there's been other shit going on. But we're back. And of course, today we're bringing you a little something called Another Earth, which is a little indie film that came out in 2011. It's me, as always, your host, Mitchell, joined, as always, seemingly by Amelia. Say hello, Amelia. This film is a big favourite of yours, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, is that it? Do you want to tell us about your experience with the film, or are you just going to be like, yeah?
No, I found it in. It's another one that I found in. No, I didn't find it in Blockbusters actually. I found it in HMV, the one on the market that is now
We live in
NatWest.
we live in Norwich, which is a small little city in eastern UK. We're basically on the bit that sticks out. We are on the arse of the UK. But yeah, we have a little market in the city. There used to be a HMV
HMV,
there.
but it got turned into NatWest.
Turn into a
HMV
NatWest, yeah.
moved, but when it was HMV, that's where I found it from.
Also, one more thing, Blockbuster.
Yeah.
There are people out there that are too young to know what that is.
Oh, if you don't know what Blockbuster is, then you were either born too late. That's your mother's fault.
Yeah, your mother wasn't horny enough to have you earlier. Anyway,
Blockbuster was great. It was a store where you could go and rent movies, and you could go and buy films as well.
it's like HMV but cooler.
Yeah, and you could
Not full of
buy
hipsters and suckers.
because they would have like their ex copies that they'd rent out, and then they'd sell them to you for cheaper. And that's where I found like The Life Before Our Eyes, Homecoming, that kind of thing.
Which may show up on the channel in the future, who knows?
I'm trying.
But yeah, this is where she basically found like a load of her current favourites because they were cheap, basically.
Yeah, this one it's just because it had a planet on the front cover, which I was drawn to it, which is why I kind of bought it. And when I read the back of it, the blurb on the back of the film case, yeah, that's why I fell in love with it.
You may recognise there could be a theme with some of her films that they are sci-fi. There's a few we've got not on our list per se, but as we're sort of debating whether or not we want to cover that's definitely sci-fi,
Mm.
which you'll have to stay tuned to find out about. But we thought I don't know if have we done any sort of heavy sci-fi ones per se.
I would say Megan because that's about
Megan's robots,
yeah.
yeah. But
And
other than that, I
then
wouldn't.
we were gonna do Don't Worry Darling at some point, which is virtual reality.
Spoilers for that film, by the way. If
Anything.
you haven't seen Don't Worry, Darling
Okay.
yet,
The reason
apologies.
I pick the most random shit is because if it's anything to do with like a twisty thriller like the Bermuda Triangle with the triangle, Megan because of the robot coming to life and anything virtual reality. And then four was just something that I kept debating about buying, but then it came to Netflix, so it saved us money in the long run.
Plus, we didn't want to have a DVD of a film we thought was gonna fucking suck.
Yeah, because you'll pay a tenner when they come out, and then you'll be like stuck because obviously
That is 10 British pounds.
you can't really sell on your second-hand DVDs for the same value.
It's not the same as it used to be
No,
back when we
it
were younger.
drops a lot, and not many people want these lying about the house
Yeah,
anymore.
now with streaming and everything coming
Yeah,
into
that's why we got
mainstream.
Blockbusters. Well done, everyone.
That was before Netflix,
You did
surely.
good.
Yeah. Anyway, we lost Blockbuster. May they rest in peace. I would pour a drink out, but my body wouldn't allow the alcohol.
If anyone's famous who's watching this, not famous but has money, bring Blockbusters back.
Yeah, make that trend on Twitter. Bring back Blockbuster, the freebies.
Mm.
Anyway, let's get on with the film review, shall we? So yeah, as we mentioned, nice sci-fi film. Uh, as we say, basically Amelia's favourite
Oh, should I just
genre
put
per se.
a warning?
Oh yeah, we'll slip a
So
little spoiler warning in now in
if
case she's
oh
going
no,
for it.
I was if anyone watches this, there are quite a lot of scenes where there's not really a lot of talking, is there? It's more.
Oh yeah, this film was shot on a budget of 100,000, which, as you can imagine, is not a lot of money, and it definitely shows. But there isn't a lot of dialogue, and a lot of it is mainly just watching You are watching the film. You're not listening to the film because there's more. There's a lot of silent scenes where nothing really not much dialogue happens, but there's stuff going on for you to look at more than there is like listening to people talking at you for however
And
long.
the other thing I will say, if anybody is interested in the soundtrack, I believe there are other users out there who have put it on YouTube, but it is also available on Spotify.
Yeah,
There is like another Earth soundtrack where you get all of the music, because some of the music is really beautiful.
which for a film of only 100 grand, well done for like their own score.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably
music.
cheaper than fucking getting licensed stuff. But yeah, I don't think there was like a single licensed song really. Excuse me. So yeah, spoiler warning, and also as we say, it's a quiet film, so I've done my best with my notes because usually I like to pick up on silly dialogue and lines that just don't make sense to me. But
Yeah, there wasn't really anything in this one.
when you've got a film that has no talking, notes aren't easy. So there will be a lot of me just going in this scene, in this scene, in this scene.
But if you look at the concept of it and you watch it, it is a really beautiful storyline. And in a way, again, because it's science fiction, it asks the question, spoiler, that if there is another Earth and another us out there.
Yeah, it's basically what would you do if you
But
had the
in the
opportunity to
film,
go
there
to.
were quite a few questions that were asked by. Okay.
Sorry, Sarah just woke up and screamed. I don't know if the mic picked that up. If that did, that's adorable. But for once, he isn't on our laps for a review.
Yeah.
He is on the floor asleep. He just woke up and went, eh, and then went back to bed.
Being too loud,
He's deaf.
maybe he's not.
Maybe he had a nightmare. Maybe he's like, I hear recording and I'm not part of it.
Yeah, so anyway, what was I saying?
I don't know.
Oh, I was saying
It was like the context behind the film of what you would do with like another Earth.
You have this male, I can't remember, you know, who like talks over the scenes.
A narrator. Well, that's not even a narrator, really.
And he asks like questions, don't he? Like, what would you do? And like these really in-depth questions, and it really does get
I
you
think he's
thinking.
meant to be the CEO of the company that does the
tickets.
Yeah, it's basically this film's version of Elon Musk and SpaceX. And now that I say it, you think of it that way, don't you? In a way, because he's got his own private company that wants to do like commercialized transport to like space.
Yeah, but he's just, sorry, Elon, but you're not taking us to another planet because you haven't found another Earth. It's as simple as that.
You want to go to Mars though. Anyway, so should we actually start with the film rather than going on about crap? Because I don't know how long we're in, but it's got to be a good like 10-15 minutes. So, movie begins. You've got it here, folks. There's the usual line I say at the beginning of every review. Movie begins with. That's literally how I start my fucking review writing. Is just movie begins with. So we sort of have, as Amelia mentioned, we have the narrator that when the film starts over an image of Jupiter. Interesting choice of Jupiter for whatever reason. Don't know the context, but hey, could be the only stock footage they could get on a 100 grand budget. I don't know why I put this, but the planet moves and morphs. Cool. All right. So next scene, there is a party, which gives us a bit of our context for the start of the film and basically the catalyst of our events, which we'll get into shortly. It basically introduces a younger version of our protagonist, whose name is Rhoda. Which, why have we got films that have really weird like main character names? Because we had that Hunter and the other one in Fall.
But the only thing is, with some films how their start-up don't make sense.
No.
But this one did make sense.
Yeah.
At the start-up, you did really need that bit.
No, we didn't even have like a cold opening, which I mean, it's not a horror film, so it wouldn't have the cold opening where someone's dead. But we do now. We don't in this one, so we have plenty of films that do. We don't in this one, so we'll move along swiftly. So of course, I always like to put the title card. I'm always like title card appears. Big big reference to Dead Meat again, frequently mentioned on the channel when it comes to horror, because he does this little joke that goes, "Toka." So of course it shows our main character Rhoda, I forgot to mention who's played by Britt Marling. She wrote the film alongside the director whose name is Mike Cahill. Cahill, Chill. But those two wrote the film. As you can see, it's low budget, so the writing team's small.
Mhm.
You'll notice it's a small cast. It's got a few like extras, but it's not like loads of people.
Between...
John. Yeah, there's a few people in it, but they're not they're not in it for long. This is a very small story. It's a very conserved story that isn't. This is this the good. I do love an indie film. I love low budget because it's more of a passion project than a money printer, and you can tell because the cast all have a great time with the film.
Really didn't get a lot of press, and
Well, it was at a film festival and then sort of had a limited release in theaters, but other than that, no. I haven't seen it on Netflix or anything. Not even. It's on Disney Plus. Yeah. It's on Disney Plus. There you go. You can watch it on Disney Plus. But yeah, I didn't even hear of it before. I remember I remember very early on in the relationship watching it, and I didn't care. Mm-hmm. I was just like, this looks weird. I'm just gonna phase out, go on my phone, do whatever. But anyway, back to the context. Back to the discussion. As we say, it's a small film where, because it's low budget and it's more of a passion project, it's clear that the director and the writers wanted to make. Well, the director and the writer is one and the same, but they wanted to tell a story rather than make money. They sort of had this idea. They were like, "We're limited on budget. Well, let's make it because they want to make it, not because the studio's going make it. We need money." Oh god, I can't remember what we were watching. No, sorry, I was just thinking of something, but it's unrelated because we were looking up the scary movies the other day. Because I was like, because we were looking up at who distributed them, I think is the term. Because the first three was done by Miramax, and then the last two, 4 and 5, were done by the Weinstein Company. So I was like, was that this? And I was like, no. They did not have the budget. Anyway, so we move on from the party after the title card, and we have Rhoda, our main character, in a car, which is basically how things go to shit.
And obviously, she's intoxicated.
She's been to a party. She's young. I don't know if it specifies how old she is, but she can drive legally, and I don't know if she drinks legally. I don't know what the rule. Yeah, I know the rules is 21 for the US.
That wasn't really specified in the.
21 is the age you can drink. Don't know how it is to drive, but I don't know if she was able to drive it but was drinking illegally. I don't know. Doesn't matter. It's fine. But we also cut to a different family in a car. They're loving family. You watch it and you think, gee, I do hope nothing bad happens. They are very, very suddenly just smashed into by Rhoda in her car. Because obviously she is fucking wasted. And, God, honestly, why would you drive? Like, just walk home. Don't drink and drive. We'll add that in there. Don't drink and drive, kids. So, the collision causes the deaths of the mother and the son.
And the unborn baby.
And the unborn baby, as we find out later, but I was going to mention that when we find out. So thanks. That's a ruin my note.
Yeah, but it's a clear indicator that she's pregnant.
Yeah, okay. Also, the kid, bless his fucking heart. She looks in because, the collision was enough to kill a woman and a child, technically 2 children, but she's fine. She literally doesn't limp or anything. She goes to the car and the fucking kid's car seat is empty. Jesus Christ. This kid got, unfortunately, launched from his seat through the dashboard and is dead on the street. It is horrible. I don't know why. I'm so okay with horror movies killing kids, but as soon as they do it like a drama, I'm like, it is not nice to kill a kid in your films unless they're a piece of shit. If you go and watch our classic story horror, like our classic horror story review, where that fucking girl gets a double barrel for her stomach. Oh, that film was bad. It was disappointing. It was all right until the end. Either way, you want to hear our thoughts on that? Go watch it. It's a really good episode. I won't lie. If you want to call it an episode, it's a really good video. Either way. So, emergency service arrive off screen and she's arrested. And that's basically, as I said before, it's basically our catalyst for the event of the film. 4 years later, it still doesn't specify how old she is, but 4 years for DUI and technically 3 counts of manslaughter. 4 years is not bad. I mean, Jesus.
It's not much, really.
Yeah, but she may have been on parole, bail. Nah, bail's way too late. I don't know how the law system works. I don't know if you know this. Um, I work in retail. She doesn't work. Alright, she volunteers. We volunteer, I should say.
Wow.
Anyway, still, that is nothing to comment on in this video. This is no point, because what's it going to do for the actual video itself? Anyway, we don't know how the law works very well. We're not experts, but 4 years seems like a fucking slap on the wrist.
Yeah, that's... Oh, 4 years for, killing a baby, a child, and it's nothing.
Yeah, it's not a lot. But yeah, she's released from prison, and another thing sort of happens that spreads. Well, it doesn't spread throughout the film. It's dotted around is glimpses of the second planet, like either approaching towards Earth, which for a bit it's a bit weird because logically the world would not be working if the planet was that close, and they did address that. They didn't address it in the film, but behind the scenes they thought, probably for budget reasons, that they can't have the ocean going everywhere and all the gravity being fucked.
Yeah, but no one was left alive.
Realistically, probably not. Anyway, so basically all over the film is just news reports dotted in and out, and like interviews with scientists and stuff about how the Earth is being, well, Earth 2 sort of comes out of nowhere. I don't really know if they give much context for
every time I've watched it, because I've tried to work this out about why all of a sudden it just appears and how it got there realistically. But it's a spitting image copy of Earth, and they've even got them on that planet, and it's like, are they doing better than they are on this one? That kind of thing. But I don't know. I can't seem to find anything on how it got there.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, sometimes it's great to not. It's great to not over-explain, but sometimes maybe a little bit of context might help. I mean, there might have been a line or two, but there's nothing major where I put it in the notes being like, oh, one day they just saw this tiny little planet and it slowly grew closer. I don't know. It's weird. Or even if they went, we woke up this morning and all of a sudden a big fuck off planet is right next to us. What the hell is happening? I'm surprised the US didn't go, oil! Give me oil! We can invade that! So, yeah, she's released from prison. She looks up and the planet is sort of looming overhead, and she's picked up by her brother and her parents. Her brother's name is... His name's Jeff! Dead meme.
I'm
He's a whiny
sorry.
little shit.
He is the most annoying character out.
Yeah, he was a pain in the ass. He's not even in that many scenes, but he's very self-centered. He's very much a hunter. It's weird. Like Hunter from Fall, the only issue with the reviews is sometimes we use like we're talking about other reviews during it, and it's just like if you haven't seen it yet, like you're not going to understand.
Mm.
Anyway, so he is a piece of shit. He's played by Robin Lord Taylor. He's in a lot. He was the outsider, I believe he was called in Dishonored 2, but probably the most famous role that I can mention that I know of is the Penguin in Gotham, which he did a great job with, and that because that character in that is a piece of shit, but he does a great job of being a piece of shit. Her parents are Kim and Robert, Jordan Baker, and Flint Beveridge. I just realised that is his name. I don't know if no, the computer wouldn't do that. The computer wouldn't autocorrect. His name is Flint Beveridge. Honestly, dude, you currently have the award for best name of an actor on the fucking show. That's what we can call it. Call it a show.
Mm-hmm.
We can go watch the other show. We might think of a name for this at one point, rather than just review and recap or whatever it is.
Mm.
We'll see. We'll see. Stay tuned. But for now, that was on the other episode. But yeah, he has the best name so far, Flint Beveridge, man. Anyway, enough of that. Those two aren't really in the film very much because, as I say, it's very conserved. You've got a few extra side characters, but it's not like where you're like, oh, it's this character, this character, this character, blah 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 for about 100 people.
Yeah, they were just kind of kept.
Yeah, they were there for the plot. They were there to support the plot, but they weren't forced into the story. It makes sense for them to be there, which is good because there are so many films I watch where characters I think, what was the point of you? Why were you here? Anyway, so at home she's back because she's obviously just got out of prison. She's back at home now anyway. Thankfully, I would be worried of where she went. These three random people pick her up and take her to the middle of nowhere.
It's kind of where we find out a bit about her person, where like loads of books, posters.
There's books, posters, magazines. She's a big fan of space, which is good because what I like is when you show, rather than forcing exposition out, to be like, oh, I love the idea of other planets and I wish I could go to another one someday. And then it's like, oh, plot.
Yeah.
If you show who a character is, it's so much better than just ramming it down your throats. Because, like, there's so many films that do that and it bothers the hell out. Like how with, once again, a classic horror story, they go into the cabin, it's like a big shrine where they worship these three demons. And it's like, he literally tells the plot of his, spoiler alert for that film, his fake film. And it's like, oh, thanks for that. I don't know if that was commentary on literally what I'm saying about how filmmakers like to shove it down your throat about exposition, but anyway. So, as we said, her room's decorated with posters and images of space. She heads to a website on, as I've wrote here, very late 2000s internet. Like everything is grey. There's no color. It's like searchengine.com, like because they couldn't get the rights to Google. But she watches an advertisement for a flight to another planet known as Earth 2. Very creative. I mean, the fact that we live on a planet called Earth, when that's basically another word for dirt. Interesting. So rather than thinking of something cool, they could have spelt Earth backwards, so that would have been even better. But no. Earth 2. So, she just watches the little advertisement for a flight to that planet. Basically sees that if she writes an essay that she could possibly win a ticket. Which she later does. But she sort of and ahs. She's like, I don't know. In the next scene, she moves into the attic. I don't know why she did that. I don't really know why. I mean, so she can see the other planet eventually, but it's pointless. She there's heads. She heads into a town in order to meet a woman at what essentially is a job center. Um, we did discuss this at the time of what it could be because we don't know the extent of
Well, it could be probation where she has to do like community service,
yeah,
or it could be the fact that she's getting back in society and like a part-time
like a
job.
rehabilitation sort of thing. But obviously,
That's
we've
what
never been convicted of a
probation.
crime, but we know from films and TV that being an ex-con can be difficult to find work, and that's understandable because I mean, finding a job is bad enough already, as I know from experience, but I can imagine that being convicted of something and then having to find a job afterwards can be difficult. But yeah, we didn't know if it was a probation officer or a job centre thing, like in the UK. If they will be up your fucking ass about going and finding a job. But that's the government for you. Um, she basically is told about a job to work at high school, which as a cleaner, which she does take, and she settled in nicely. So then once she's done there, she heads out and walks along the coast, and in the background, the planet is still there. It's nice to see that with a film like this, they're not just like, oh, there's a planet there, but you're never going to see it for budget reasons.
Mm.
It's not like, oh, we're gonna shoot this big like coastal scene, which is just her walking along, and there's just the sky. It's nice to see the planet there because it's
Yeah,
like, oh yeah, that is still happening.
but it's also nice dialogue. Enjoy
You can enjoy
the
the atmosphere,
graphics,
and
and you can enjoy the story a lot more and appreciate it a lot more.
it basically helps you appreciate the small amount of dialogue that you can get.
Yeah.
Because if you've just got constant dialogue, you'll forget what's being said. But
Mm-hmm.
if you have that time in between to reflect on what's been said and remember, it's different. It's a good way of putting it. So, so when she first starts her job as the cleaner, the day is the anniversary of the discovery of Earth 2. I think you said it was a year. It's the first year since they found it, which would make sense because they later try and make radio contact, which you think, like, obviously that would have happened already if it had been a few years.
I think the first time I watched this film, and I remember watching it, and with the dialogue of the scene where they have this woman on the news who's making contact, and you've got the family sitting in the living room. And me being me, I didn't get that part the first time around. I got the second that my brain twigged that the woman was speaking to herself from that planet
Yeah, not
when they
just like the
when
radio having
yeah when
feedback.
they contact, and it was like it's a really good scene.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Just because they acted it all out so well,
and
and
it's well shot as well. It
yeah,
makes it seem like a real news report. So anyway, the DJ who announces it, his name is Flavor, and I just the entire time he spoke, I wanted him to shut up. Like we don't get a lot of DJs in the UK on the radio where it's just like talk, talk, talk. They're the big like look at me people where it's just like blah 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 blah. Blah.
mm,
Like you just want them to shut up. Though they're not personalities here; they are just. But anyway, he's a twat, and I hated him. So after work, she heads back to the site of the crash that happened 4 years prior, of course. The father also conveniently arrives at the same time to pay his respects and leaves the toy the kid had during the accident at the accident, which is cute.
that
And
is
obviously, it's setting up a little memorial. But 4 years later, okay, grief at your own pace. But it's a bit strange to be like, oh, 4 years. It's been 4 years since the crash. What should we make him do? We're gonna have our female lead and our male lead both be at the same time, and
But
then
I personally,
emotion.
think that they played that really well because,
Don't get me wrong, it is played
you
really
know,
well, but it is thinking about it is a bit like
yeah, but he's never going to get over that loss realistically.
I know he's completely on his own now. He had his
And you don't just stop loving someone when they die.
no. We both regretfully we both understand that. You never stop thinking about someone, and I'm not going to try and turn this into a big sad episode. This is going to be the sad episode, I think. But this honestly, it's difficult not to make this episode sad because this film is not a happy film. This film is fucking depressing, but it's really
But that
good.
kind of gives Rhoda the opportunity because now she's seen him in person, and this is where it kind of get a bit stalky.
Yeah, it is a bit weird.
I say stalky because of the fact that she makes up a fake cleaning company.
No, the cleaning company's real. She just makes up the fact that she
Oh,
works
okay.
for them.
Yeah, when she doesn't.
Because he just write the check, and later on he says he's rang them, and the checks
Yeah.
aren't being cashed.
So it kind of gets a bit weird from that view, how spending so much time with him.
I know it's because of her guilt, and she
And
feels terrible about what
was
she
it
did.
honest? But another spoiler is she fucks him.
Yeah,
And then
it's
you
weird.
didn't say anything till after that. A bit like you could have spared him the pain. I appreciate the storyline and everything, but that just felt like unacceptable.
It felt a bit strange, to say the least. But still. Um, After then, she later Googles the father's name. She Googles the father's name, discovering he is a composer, and finds his address. He listed his home address on the internet.
Yeah, it was really.
I thought, are you fucking stupid? He's like, you can contact me here or at my house. Please send SWAT teams over like people do now. Honestly, that's stupid. I didn't understand how they somehow did that, but I guess they needed to move the plot along, other than having to follow him home.
As I say, it's a bit stalkery, really, if you think about it in that logic.
It's more stalkery in a minute when she heads over to his house, finds him alone, and looks through the window and just leaves. Literally, like, creeps up to his window, stares at him, and walks off.
A bit like,
She strips down naked. There isn't any nudity. Sorry, kids. Well, not kids. Sorry, teenage boys who wanted to get their rocks off. But no, there is no nudity because it does look like it was genuinely shot in the winter. So I would like to hope she was wrapped up warm. But yeah, she strips down to basically get hypothermia and die, which is a horrible way of dying. It's not burning to death because that has been. For some reason, that is the number one worst way to die, according to people who are dead.
okay, that makes a lot of sense.
I know, I'm joking about the whole, like, according to people who are dead, but that has been, like, scientifically decided that's the worst way, but hypothermia's gotta be fucking horrible. Anyway, yeah, there's gonna be a lot of talk about death. We do apologise. I mean, well, we did kind of warn you at the beginning that this film is depressing, but it happens. This is a deep film that I'm doing. I want to make jokes about, but because of the subject matter, it's not easy.
I won't let you.
I'm not going to take the piss out of anyone dying or anything because it's tragic, but it's going to be jokes. I'm trying to make this as light-hearted as I can, but it's such a not dark, but it's just very deep, and it's a very, very serious film. But excuse me. There you go. There's a joke for you. So she then heads to a store. No, hang on. She's rescued from freezing to death. She's not just naked and cold and dying, and then goes to a shop. She wakens at home. Doesn't say who rescues her, but I assume her family magically or something. She wakens at home, goes back on the website, and begins to type a reason why she should be chosen. Presumably, it's because she feels guilty and wants to just escape, get away. Doesn't matter what happens.
That would have been the start of the end of her using it herself.
Yeah,
Again, spoilers, she doesn't use the
she
tape.
doesn't use it in the end, but she wants to just get away from all of it. She does because later on, John says to her like, "You do realise you could die?" She's sort of like, "I don't really care," and you can sort of understand why. She's just like, "I don't care what happens. I don't want to live, but if it means time." So she heads to a store later on once she's recovered. Her fingers are admittedly like scarred and bandaged because she's been freezing, which is good because usually in this it's like people get hurt and then are magically healed.
Hmm.
Like like with Halloween Ends, which we've also covered for the channel. The sheriff in those three films was stabbed. He got stabbed in the neck in the first one and run over by a jeep, and was in hospital for all of the second film, and isn't like in pain or anything.
Yes.
I don't know. He got run over by a jeep. He would have a limp or something, but he is fine. Anyway, enough about Halloween Ends. That is, I've sworn I've effed and jeffed about that film enough. She was going to get some sweets. She meets. I don't know why I had these characters down because ultimately they're pointless. She gets to meet Alex and Claire. Alex is played by Matthew Lee Earlbach, and Claire is played by Anna Cruz Kane. We just love our middle names in the cast for the film. She ultimately leaves the sweets and then goes back to work. After work, she heads to John's house to offer her services. I say services. These are cleaning services before sex service. She's not a prostitute, I will add, but she's not there for the smexy times in this film. Well, yeah. Under the guise of it being a free trial for another company she pretends to work for. Opens the door. He's clearly been drinking because it's like the middle of the day, but he's like, what do you want? Um, he opens the door hungover, declines, but he does change his mind when she says it's free. I still don't know if I'll be comfortable coming around and my stuff, even if it was free. As you're letting a stranger into your house. Don't do that. Da, 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 da. Indoors, the house is a mess, filled with empty beer bottles and trash. I don't know why I put trash for English. It's rubbish.
Well, that's what you expect.
Garbage. Yeah, he's clearly taking it badly, which is understandable. I can't imagine what it's like. She begins cleaning. John is played by William Mapother. Mapother, Mapother. Also found out that he plays Colonel James Hsu in Fallout New Vegas, which, good God, that would completely scare the shit out of me. Because I was just like, I'll just have a look what else he's been in, because I recognise him. And then I'm like, Fallout New Vegas. And then I read who it is, and I'm like, I know that exact fucking character. And then I couldn't unhear the character for the rest of the fucking film. Yeah. He's, oh, fucking hell. Camp McCarran, he's the colonel there. There you go. I had to remember the name of the airport. You can also go watch that series. It should still be out. It should still be going. It is going. I say should like tomorrow the finale's gonna go up, but I know it's not. We're recording this the day before this goes out. That's usually how it works. So, it should be episode 89 tomorrow.
Oh God, he's plugging it.
Oh, shut up. Stop pretending if there was something in here you plugged your own shit before. I literally say at the end, is there anything like plug other than your own channel? Anyway, so once she's finished, he says that he'll see her next week, even though he's showing no interest in having her back. She begins to walk away as a woman drives up. I don't know what that woman was. I assume it may be a prosy. Prosy, sex worker. You can't call them prosies and stuff anymore because you have to pretend they're not selling their bodies for sex. Sorry, the cat is snoring. He sounds like a phone vibrate. It's loud. I've got a headset on because we don't have a proper mic, so it's basically my Xbox headset, but I can hear him over that and my own voice. He's shaken by some. Anyway, so back at home, she heads home. She walks, I think. Oh no, she gets a train, doesn't she? 'Cause
Yeah.
that's, the family's celebrating over Jeff getting into a university. Jeff is annoyed because Rhoda doesn't seem interested. It's like she's been out of prison for like a week, mate. Like maybe just give her a bit of consideration for the fact that her life's been ruined. Not as much as John's, obviously, but um, Rhoda just doesn't care. And back in her attic, she rehearses talking to him about her seeing him at the accident site because she wants to the whole like for a lot of the film she's very conflicted. She wants to help him, but is also scared of talking to him about what happened because obviously, yeah, you wouldn't really want to talk to someone who caused an accident that claimed someone's life. But when she goes back, she tries talking to him, but he insists that she clean first, which she does, of course. While cleaning, she finds some images of his family. She tells him she's finished, just like every other week. Takes the check and rips it up because he's he's writing the check out to the company she works for, but she doesn't. Obviously, she's not really going to give this company, company the money, but also she doesn't want his money for cleaning. Basically, she wants to. It's basically her way of making up for what she did in the best way she can think of. After buying some more supplies, the next week she was past a Doomsday nut job. I know the exact guy. He's one of those that wears the signs on him, like an able. Like you've got something written here, something on his back.
Oh,
It's like
yeah.
they sort of, you know how we have outside the charity shop, we have that.
Yeah, I know exactly what
Yeah,
you
yeah.
mean.
Okay. So yeah, by supplies I mean like cleaning supplies, not like ammo and canned food. Like a fucking he's the Doomsday nut job, but after arriving at John's, she finds him passed out drunk. She goes up into the attic and finds a telescope that she takes a fondness to. John just sort of lurks, like behind some like I don't even know what he lurks behind while she's playing with her. I don't know. He's not hiding, but it's like he's looking through something at her. At home, family's watching a scientist try and communicate with the planet yet again. Why'd I say yet again? But this is what we discussed earlier. She receives she receives a distorted response that she thinks is just her voice playing back to her. But while she's saying that, it then speaks to her. Like the voice then says something to her that she didn't say. And they're two discussing memory the two had that only they would know about. It's like they went to a toy shop and what did they get? So, heading outside, she and several others are now looking at the planet because she goes, I don't know why. I don't know why now everyone's suddenly like in the street going planet,
I
planet
think it's
there.
because they're preparing for the first,
Yeah,
and they don't know what they're gonna get.
just gonna have a little sippy sip, bear with me.
Because if someone's gonna, if you're gonna have another Earth up there, and someone's gonna make a contact, you're gonna go outside and look at it and be like, "What's up?
Yeah,
Am I doing well on that planet?" You know, I'm poor here. I could be rich on another. You could have long hair on another.
I'm getting there.
Silver could be immortal on another planet.
Silver's immortal now. That cat. I feel like in the future there's just gonna be a compilation of us talking about Silver. Like, it's gonna be an effort. There's gonna be a compilation as long as us talking about him. Oh, he woke up. He's like, please shut the fuck up. I want to sleep. Don't look at me. Hello. Do you want to come to bed? Come on, we're reviewing.
Anyway, we don't hold you lot up.
Yeah, this video is probably going to be long enough. As I say, it's literally writing the notes. It's just this scene happens. Because there's no dialogue, I have to write down everything that happened. Well, there is dialogue. But back at John's, he brings the telescope down. He's better because he comes down in like a shirt now because he's getting his life together, which is good for him. The two of them look through, and they literally see wherever they live, but on the planet. Nook interrupts them, and it's a takeaway for John. Nondescript takeaway. Rhoda grabs. He basically offers Rhoda some, which fair. I would have some.
And you know, obviously we have the Nintendo Switch in this scene.
We have the Nintendo Wii.
Oh,
The Switch was
Wii.
not out until 11. She grabs some food while John is on the Wii. He's playing Wii Sports, I think, because they box on it. And I don't know if he's playing it because he's very like into it. It's sort of that uncanny. Is he playing it? But I think for budget reasons, he probably actually was. They could just have a telly off and just have him go ha ha ha. But no, it does seem like they actually do. They both end up playing it, and the two seem to. They have a friendship growing. There's no like romantic spark yet, but it's.
They have something growing.
Yeah, something was growing in him, I think. Anyway, he gives her another check and gives her a ride home, which she wasn't comfortable with, but she accepted it anyway. So some time passes again. Next time we're at the house, the two are growing closer, and John is in a better condition. He's clearly recovering because I think in his grief, in the 4 years, he sort of lost the social side of his life. Judging by the state of his house, you can tell. Rhoda basically tells him a story about the first cosmonaut who saw Earth for the first time.
I'm sorry, I've just seen Silver look like he's like, yeah.
He's like, yeah. Is that I can't hear it, but you look like you're in. Come to bed. Don't wink. Anyway, again, it's just gonna be a video of how many times we've spoke about him. I feel like in the future we need to get a cat cam. Or we need to get the little tripod and put it next to him so it just films him asleep. So yeah, tells him the story about the first cosmonaut who saw the Earth for the first time. She also tells him about how she submitted into the competition. He's skeptical about her going and says she wants to go as nobody knows what's there. He gets angry at her when she she accidentally washed a jumper that had some meaning to him. I think it was one of his family's jumpers, and obviously you like to cherish those things. He gets angry at her, and he basically. So when she goes to the work, she finds out that the elderly colleague that was there. I didn't mention him before, and I meant to, but he's an older man who was not in many scenes, but he was there a couple of times. He blinded and deafened himself with bleach after seeing himself everywhere, which is fucked, to say the least. After walking home, she finds John waiting outside her house in his truck, which is creepy. He talks to her, basically confronting her about the fake job that says she basically doesn't exist, but does apologise for yelling at her. She gets in his truck and he takes her to a music hall where he plays this sound on Hacksaw.
Okay, now I want to say that this scene that it is a real thing. You can play music with a saw. There is a lady on, I believe, YouTube who either does still do it.
I feel bad for not being able to credit her, but I'll look it up. What I'm doing. Bear with me. I want to find her because I want to credit, because I feel bad not. I swear I put it down, but I clearly did. Just bear with me. We don't have the fucking technology to edit this, so I do apologise. I won't take long. We'll get to the point again in a minute. But yeah, he's playing the sound on a saw. The song and the musical saw scene. That's a fucking mouthful. It's performed by Natalia Peruz. A musical saw player. I don't know where.
But honestly, that scene was really
He was
beautiful.
riding the subway and saw her, so he got her contact information and basically, basically she played it while John pretended he was playing it. So, anyway, sorry again. Just wanted to credit this lady because it's an incredible sound. He uses it to play a song to a. They like. Oh, I love my notes. I love how my brain works. They later go back to his and they have Peggy 12 sex. It's like not graphic, but it's like, oh yeah, They sort of like bump bodies next to each other with like clothes on. Peggy 12 sex. That's what it is. She lays with him and he basically grief dumps. He basically just tells her about what happened and about his family and an unknown time unborn child. This is where it's revealed that his wife was pregnant, I should say, not had a baby in her. That sounds weird. So that basically sets her guilt off again because she sort of moved on about the fact that she didn't move on, but was moving on from her accidental manslaughter. That's then accidental murder.
Yeah.
That's a double double negative or whatever. But yeah, it just brings her grief back, and she feels even more guilt. The next day, she visits the old colleague in the hospital and lays with him and comforts him. She literally lays on his bed with him. It's a bit weird. It's an interesting way of doing it. Excuse me, I'm very gassy tonight. We're a bit unwell at the moment, so we do apologise. He reveals to her about his. Oh no, I'm reading the wrong one. I saw she lays with him, and I was like, oh, that must be the right one. She basically uses her finger to write a message on his palm because obviously he's blind and deaf. I'm very sorry. I couldn't keep track of what he was writing on his hand. I just don't know. After heading home, Jeff informs her about her winning the competition. Which, cool. Very convenient for her and for the audience. I'm joking. She phones the CEO and he informs her that she can go if she wants. She's like, yeah, you have the ticket if you still want to go. She heads to John's, who's playing the piano, and she informs him she won. To celebrate with alcohol and a feast. He calls it a feast. That night, the two of them joke about what would happen if she was to die. It's a bit weird. It was very strange. He begs for her to stay so the two of them could be together. She says that they can't and admits to him she was responsible for the accident. Which, that's not great. The man was moving on. I know you needed it for your closure, but the man was like, and he had had sex with you and thought he found happiness for the first time in like 4.5 years. Understandably, he gets fucking mad and yells at her to leave. Complies. She's confronted by journalists and her family because there's nothing better than journalists, honestly. You've got to love them. Randomly showing up to people's houses and yelling at them about what's going on. And her family, she just decided not to tell about it. Hearing on the TV that there is a theory that things may be different on Earth 2 due to the synchronicity being broken after it was spotted, which is weird. So no, real quick, because I've just read that wouldn't make sense for your theory of I could be rich up there, but I'm poor down here. Basically, when Earth 2 showed up, everything was the same before then. So, say Earth 2 showed up tomorrow, the other us would be doing a review of this film right now in this exact way.
Well, that's a bit shit.
It's a bit depressing, yeah. Yeah, that don't make a whole lot. Oh no, that don't make more sense now.
It's a bit.
Oh no, that's ruined the end of the film for you. Because like all the synchronicity. Oh no. I don't know, because we can't remember whether or not how long it's been since they first spotted the planet.
Right, when we've done this review, he's gonna explain the ending to me again off Recording.
Well, no, I've got to put it in the recording. Basically, it doesn't explain when. Well, we can't remember if it was before the accident Earth 2 got spotted or if it was after the accident. So the synchronicity being broken after it was spotted means that if it was set after if they spotted it after the accident, his wife and son and unborn baby are still dead on the planet.
Oh no.
Yeah, it just got a lot more depressing, didn't it? So if it was before the accident, his family are okay. If it wasn't, that means they're still dead, and he went up there for nothing.
Oh my god.
Yeah, yeah. So there you go. That's my basic
So,
breakdown of this film. Could be depressing.
when she came down right at the end.
Yeah, the synchronicity got broken.
Again.
No, it was still broken. It's just that she went down there. She happened to go down there at the same time.
Yeah, but as she's standing there, she was in nicer clothes.
Yeah.
She looked like she was doing well.
I don't know. It's a low budget film. It doesn't matter. We'll keep going on with it. But she heads back to John's after that, thinking that, as we just said, he could be reunited. He could be reunited with his family, who are still possibly alive, depending on how long the Earth 2 was spotted for. She literally breaks into his home through a window. Because she just tried a door, and he's like, "Go away, leave me alone, don't come back." But she just goes through a window in his house. John just comes out of a door and strangles her for a minute, but does relent. She tells him about what she heard and leaves the ticket behind for him. And a bit more time passes. She's shown to be actually living in the attic space, like she's done it up like a bedroom more than just wood wall, like mattress on the floor. Still working at the high school with another guy whose name I've forgotten. Sorry, lol. After overhearing on the news about the launch, an interview is played with John taking his place on. And then we have one last scene where 4 months later, on a foggy day, Rhoda gets home from work. She spots another version of herself, and the film ends. End of movie. We need to talk. So, well, I've just discussed the whole, like, depending on whether or not the planet was spotted before or after the accident, changes of whether or not his family will be or not. So yeah, that was it. That was Another Earth. We'll give our little thoughts on it. What are your thoughts? Have I just ruined the ending with this possible thing?
No, not really, because I still think it's a storyline and I still love it. Personally, I give it a 10.
A 10, wow.
Yeah.
You heard it here first, folks. We have our first perfect 10 on the channel. This show has had its first perfect 10, even though it's not placed at the top of the. It's up there, which you can check out on the letterbox linked in the description below. But it's perfect 10 for you. I would hate to. You'd be surprised. There's another film I really enjoyed. It's one of those films where I wouldn't have watched it on my own, but because we're doing it for the show, I thought, you know what? I'll watch it. I'll pay. So I'm not just gonna be like reviewing it. I don't care. Problem is when you're putting notes down, you have to pay the attention. So easily gonna have to say
he's gonna change that to a 10.
I'm not gonna change it to a 10. I still have my nitpicks. With the film because they've responded to the nitpicks about it, like the reality of what would happen if a planet was in Earth's orbit like that. But also there's some other there's just nitpicks, but I'm willing to let them slide because it's low budget. But I still very much enjoyed it. It didn't ruin the film for me. Stop tapping me, telling me make it a 10.
I'm not. I'm just saying okay.
Like, I still very much enjoyed the film. Didn't think I was going to. But as I say, I love me a low budget film. As long as it's not filled with low budget CGI.
What, like, what?
Like, Sharknado had the budget, it's just the CGI is shite. I'm talking like. What films have we covered that had terrible CGI? There's one, I swear. It may even be a triangle. There's a few, like the ship was a bit.
Mm.
There's a few bits. Either way, there's plenty of films I've seen that are low budget and shocking. Anyway, easy as I say, 8 out of 10, loved it. Surprisingly enjoyed it very much. I found it gripping, even though dramas and like sci-fi things like this I can find hard to get into. I did very much enjoy it.
Well, I'm glad.
Well, yeah, and I'm not just saying that so I get some brownie. So you're not going to be mad at me because I could have just went 2 out of 10. Fucking hated it. But no, with a low budget film, you've got to cut it a bit more slack when it comes to like effects and stuff like that. But for a film that's shot on $100,000, like the like the CGI for the planet was surprisingly really good, and the acting was really good. Like it was shot well. I found some of the cinematography actually really good. But yeah, that was our thoughts. That was Another Earth, as I say. Very much enjoyed the film. Apparently, best film ever made, according to her. But yeah, those were our thoughts. Hopefully we'll be back on track with reviews as of this week. Probably try and get another one out for Monday. It's Tuesday today, so we'll review one on the weekend, get on Monday. So yeah, thank you all for listening. Of course, check out the letterbox below to find out all the other films we've reviewed. We've got a playlist on the channel as well, of course, so you can see all the good stuff. We're not going to beg you to watch Santa's Sleigh like we have done a few times. It's a funny episode, but I'm not going to plug it over and over again. So yeah, thank you for listening, of course. Do you want to plug anything other than your own channel? You'll be in the description anyway.
ASMR.
Well, we've got your gaming/book channel in the description. I'm not going to be like, Amelia's channel, here's 15 of them.
I only have 2.
I know you only have.
Can get him.
You'll find the gaming and the book one in the description, and you can find a link to if that's more of your thing. So yeah, thank you for listening. Of course, I've been the Nova Project. I've been Purple Midnight 8, Mitchell, whatever you prefer. Amelia's been her.
Nook.
She's been the Obsidian Nook, Petal ASMR, blah blah blah. And we'll catch you in the next one. Bye bye now.